Hi there, Scott from AV.technology here, and I'm going to show you through the new brand to AV.technology LEA Amplifiers, LEA Professional. These guys have been around for a long time, and I'm really thrilled to get to introduce you to them. LEA have some three main pillars that they like to focus on. Firstly, they're not another amplifier company. This is a company that is very technology driven. They like to pack a lot of technology into their amplifiers, which do sound fantastic, by the way. Let's not forget what an amplifier is there to do. But their amplifiers have a lot of forward-thinking technologies that are going to make it easier for you to integrate them into your project. There are three things that I want to address today. The LEA who, so who they are, the LEA what, so what the amplifiers are, and the LEA way, so how it interacts with your project. Blake Alkersberger is the founder. He's been with Harman for a long time, and before that was one of the presidents of Crown International, so he has a long pedigree with really high quality amplifiers. And when Harman shut down the Indiana facility, he was there ready and waiting to grab as much of the talent as he could to found LEA and continue to build on that rich pedigree that office had. So here is the cloud of what makes LEA who they are. This is what makes it a differentiated product beyond just being an amplifier and being technology focused. There are a number of amplifiers in the range at various channel and power operation. This grid actually shows you a little bit better what they are about. Hopefully you'll be able to read it on the screen. But the main thing is they go right down from 80 watts all the way up to a 1500 watt per channel amplifier. Duplicated across to the right is the Dante Connect series. So Dante Connect takes the Network Connect versions and adds an 8x8 Dante card that is AES 67 compliant, will work with Dante Domain Manager, and can be used as an on-ramp for analog audio into the network for central processing and return back into the amplifier for amplification. The 350, 700 and 1500 watt variants are all EN54 certified, which means that in Australia, it isn't the AES standard, but there are a number of consultants and builders that are accepting the EN standard for ES these days. Work with your builder, work with your consultant, work with us to find out if these amplifiers would be compatible with your project if you were doing any life safety applications. What this does speak to is the robustness that these amplifiers have been built to be able to meet that EN54 standard. There's a number of technologies that, as I said, have been built into these amplifiers. The first ones that I want to focus on is the proprietary Smart Bridge technology. So Smart Bridge allows us to double the output power of a single channel on the amplifier without sacrificing any of the amplifier around it. So an 8-channel amplifier can double one of the outputs and the other 7 amp channels remain unaffected. In a lot of other products, we'll either do some physical bridging that will sacrifice a channel, or we can only allocate a specific amount of power across the frame. This allows us to have that allocation and then go above it and exceed it. It's very useful while you're on site when you just need that little bit of extra power that you might have not accounted for in the pre-sales phase. Likewise, the DSP on board is absolute first class. There's a number of tools there. There is nothing missing from this amplifier in terms of DSP processing. The network side of the amplifier is very robust. It has a built-in Wi-Fi access point for easy connection. That Wi-Fi access point can also be connected to the rest of the network, as well as cloud monitoring via the built-in cloud service from LEA. Here's a photo of the back panel. As you can see, it's very simple. Most notably, a really unique feature is that the power button is actually magnetized and removable. So you can actually take away the feature of being able to turn the amp on and off at the end user level. So very handy from a stability perspective. So let's look at the web UI itself. How do you configure one of these amplifiers? Well, firstly, from a network perspective, there are 3 ways to connect. A wired mode, directly via an access point, or we can actually use that access point to connect to a host Wi-Fi network as well, where the rack might not have a wired comms, which is very, very useful. Once you're onto the network, the front panel of the amplifiers themselves has the IP address displayed, and you connect to it through that IP address in a web browser, and you are greeted with 3 clicks away from any function within the amplifier. Any part of the amplifier you can access through the web GUI, and it is 3 clicks away. Very, very handy. It is also laid out very easily. Any function within the amplifier that you think should be there, you will find it in there. and you will find it where you would expect it to be. It also has auto discovery. So on the left there, you can see the bar amplifier. If you're connected to a house network, you will see the other amplifiers self-populate as well. So you're only ever operating within one browser tab. You don't need to have a host of tabs open while you're connecting to the amplifier. Here's all of the various functions within the amplifier. So as I said, there is very little missing from this amp, even right down to impedance monitoring under the load section, and an 8-band parametric, as well as high and low shelves and all pass filters. The second way to connect to the amplifier is through the LEA cloud. This is an Amazon Web Services hosted cloud. They could have absolutely built their own service, but with Amazon being so readily used across the industry, it is far easier to be able to onboard an AWS solution. They also offer things like custom security protocols to ensure that enterprise users are not unhappy with using this cloud service. As I mentioned, network security is a big part of what this brand is about. So we are completely 802.1x compliant, using all three of the protocols involved in that, as well as the ability to offer government models, which include removal of the Wi-Fi access point from the device, should that security need be required. And the goal of LEA Cloud as a free service is to enable installers the ability to have recurrent spending. So this is a service that enables end users assurance that they've got a really top quality system always operational. It's a peace of mind. It doesn't need to cost much, but what it does mean is that when you get to site, you know exactly what is going on with the amplifier should there be an issue, to save both you and the end user time and money. There's a number of other fault monitoring functions within the amplifier, the most notable being a system called reporting from the grave, where the network card can be powered via the network through PoE, and that hosts all of the fault monitoring. So if there is a critical power failure with the amplifier, the report faulting can still continue, which means, again, more specificity when you get to site, knowing what is going wrong if there is a fault. And given how robust these amplifiers are, hopefully that shouldn't be happening very often. The last method of communication is called Sharkware. This is their dedicated PC and Mac application. The benefit of this is there are some features within this that aren't accessible through the web GUI. The ability to do offline design, pre-build your racks before you have the product. Grouping individual channels together only happens within Sharkware. You can also limit user access control here, so individual users can have access to certain parts of the amplifier. The EQ, the parametric EQ, actually has a graphical overlay, so if you're used to using a DAW, the click and drag style EQ, everything is here as well. You can also lock out your speaker tunings. So should you need to hide some of your work, or if it's a proprietary curve or you just don't want people messing with your EQs, you can lock those out there. Speaking of speaker tunings, LEA already have 26 brands on board, with that continuing to populate, representing some 2,500 tuning files for individual speakers. They're easy to import, they're a simple text file, and you can also export your own tunings for future use, or if you want to modify the speaker tunings, you can. From AV.technology, there's a number of brands already represented, specifically the Sonance range, One Systems outdoor weatherized speakers, James loudspeaker, which are a customizable speaker range, Renkus Hines for high performance speakers, and Yamaha for their UC products. All of those already are uploaded. We're working on Australian Monitor to fit into that range as well. And lastly, how does this integrate with the rest of the system? So being third-party controllable is really important. They already have 9 drivers written for the main control platforms. For us, RTI is a big focus of that as we distribute that here in AV.technology. But if you don't have the driver for the program that you like to run, it's an open ASCII control platform. It's very easy to write your own strings should you need them, or if you want to do it on the absolute hard mode, you can write it in WebSocket JSON and integrate it into your own application. That's it for us here at AV.technology. We're really thrilled by these amplifiers. As I said, they are an absolute workhorse. They sound fantastic, and they have a number of features which are going to make your projects that much easier to deliver. Thanks for listening.